Hello and welcome to Thrive in 5. There's an old joke about two surgeons who were scrubbing up after a surgery, and one says to the other, "How did it go?" And he says, "Really very close." He says, "What do you mean close?" He says, "Well, one more inch, it would have been out of my specialty." So we live in a very specialized world today. And that's a good thing, because after all, where would we be if there wasn't at least somebody who devoted their entire life to mapping the pig genome? But there's a danger to specialization that I want to talk about today, and I think we can glean some insight into what that is from what's going on in the Jewish calendar right now. You see, right now is a period that's called the Sfirat Omer, which is the 49 days that we count from the Exodus from Egypt to the standing at Mount Sinai to receive the Torah. And right now we're in the middle of that counting, but it's also a period of mourning for the Jewish people, because during this period in another era, one of our greatest sages, Rabbi Akiva, lost 24,000 of his students in a plague. And we're told this plague was due to a moral failure. And that failure was that the students did not show the proper respect and honor that we're due to each other. Now, I want to just caution us here for a second, because there's a common mistake people make of assuming that we're dealing with dysfunctional and petty people. Rabbi Akiva was one of the greatest of our tradition, and his students were great men, and we can be sure that they weren't elbowing each other out of the way at the Kiddush in shul. We got to look deeper if we really want to glean the message that we're being taught here. So I think the answer lies in the uniqueness of Rabbi Akiva. There are two approaches to learning in Jewish tradition. One is more of a survey, a broader approach that we call Bekias, and then there's an approach called Be'iyun, which is a more in-depth and analytical approach. And Rabbi Akiva, we are told, was the king of the analytical approach. He was the greatest at it. And his students, therefore, were also deep analysts. Or another way of saying it is they were specialists. And I think we're being told that there's a very significant danger in over-specialization, and that is that you can easily get so caught up in your area of expertise that you can forget that it's just a small piece of the puzzle. You can forget that your fellow also has a way of seeing things, and in that sense, not show the proper respect and honor. You know, it always amazes me when my child had sleep apnea problems. We brought him to different specialists, and it seemed like whatever the specialty was, that was where his problem was. If we went to an allergist, he had an allergy problem. If we went to an ENT, he had an ENT problem. It's so easy to forget that your area of specialization is just a small piece of the pie. And there's a danger to that. And what is that danger? Not only that you can simply be wrong. It's actually much more significant than that. It's that even sometimes when you're right, you're actually 100% wrong. You know, I had a conversation once with a woman about the Palestinian-Israeli conflict, and she was complaining about the terrible injustices. And I said to her, you know, you're right. It's a tragedy what's going on between the Israelis and the Palestinians. And it's a tragedy that people have to go through checkpoints and inspections. But you know what? Can you at least articulate an intelligent Israeli opinion that shows that they're more than just one-dimensional comic book villains? See, even when you're right, you can completely miss the picture in a whole, and you can be very damaging. You know, we're all specialists in our own lives, and we can't help but be that way. The way we experience our lives is very real to us. It's very convincing. But we have to at least remember that all we see is a small piece of the picture, because that will at least allow us to be open to what else is out there. You know, I have a client who was very upset with his wife because she behaved inappropriately. And I said to him, you know something, you're right, it was inappropriate. But the fact that you're as angry and resentful as you are shows me that you don't know where she's coming from. And you don't know what her pain is. And that's not to make what she did right. But it means that on some level you're not seeing her innocence, and you don't really know what you're dealing with. And as a result, you're not going to be able to address the issue in the best possible way. We are all specialists in our own lives. We can't help but be that way. And that's just the way it is. But what we can do is be mindful of the fact that we're only seeing a small piece of the puzzle, because when we are mindful, it leaves us open and it leaves us curious to at least check out and see what it is we may be missing.